Hi, I'm Nick, and in this video we'll be going through the process of upgrading a Pro 2 to Hyper FFF. Now, because there's a lot to go through in this upgrade and a few things that we want to check beforehand, we do recommend watching this entire video until it's finished before going through with the upgrade. Before we get started with the entire upgrade, let's do a quick preview and idea maker of what we can expect. Looking at our tray of 12 parts here, if I go ahead and slice them first in our standard mode, with our standard preview here, we can expect a print time of 32 hours and 23 minutes. And if we go back into our slicing menu to select our hyperspeed mode in the upper left-hand corner, we'll see that we have the options for premium PLA and also hyperspeed PLA. Working with the premium PLA first, we'll slice that in our new standard mode under the hyper format and get our new time estimate. Looking at our new estimate here, using our Hyper Pro 2 with Premium PLA, we're looking at estimated print time of 15 hours and 21 minutes. Now we can push this even further by going with the Hyper Pro 2 and our Hyper Speed PLA. Now printing with our Hyperspeed PLA, running this in the standard template gives us a print time of 14 hours and 26 minutes. So there are significant reductions to print time on just a standard machine with just upgrades to the software and a little bit of new calibration. We'll go ahead and get into the specific steps there, and we do recommend watching the entire video start to finish before starting the upgrade. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing we want to do is make sure that for whatever Pro 2 we're working with, that we have the touchscreen and motion controller board firmware fully up to date. For making those updates, we would first just want to go to our website and then underneath support, go to Download Center, and we can find the downloads from here. One thing to note, we do have the version of Idea Maker, version 4.41 alpha. We'll be using that for our hyperspeed mode as well, so we'll keep that in mind. We can get the download here. And then scrolling down, we can also find our update for Raise Touch. We want to make sure we're doing Raise Touch version 1.4.2. And then a bit further down the motion controller board firmware, we want to make sure that the Pro 2 we're working with is on version 0-0-66.
Version 0-1-67 will also work with this upgrade as well if it's already installed on your machine.
Now that we have our update files downloaded, we can go ahead and take those and drag them into the root folder of a USB drive. And once those finish transferring over, we can plug that USB into the side of the touchscreen and run both updates from there. Now that we have our prepared USB drive, we'll go ahead and start first with the MCB update. To do that update, we'll go ahead and plug that into the touchscreen, go over to our print screen in the bottom right, and then select our USB drive. From there, we'll just need to find the update file, select that, and hit OK, and that's going to go ahead and start the firmware update. Once that completes, we can leave the USB drive in the printer, go ahead and restart it, and then that is going to automatically start the Raise Touch update. Once both those updates are completed, we can remove the USB drive and then go back to our website to sign up for the Pro 2 upgrade. From our main website, normally there's a pop-up that'll hit you right away that we can get into from there, but if not, we can go up to Hyper FFF and then go ahead and select Join in Hyperspeed Open Test for the Pro 2 series. From this page, we'll want to go ahead and enter in our email address. And then it's going to ask for some more information here. We can go ahead and just fill out those forms and then get to our upgrade section. Now, finally, once we get to our section for entering in serial numbers, there are a few things to note. We can select our machine type first and then enter in the serial number. We can also add in another printer and then give that its own type and its own serial number. We can have up to 10 serial numbers assigned to a single email. So if you are going to be upgrading multiple machines, it would be best to go ahead and just get all of the serial numbers inputted here so you can have all your files all at once. It'll ask to do one final confirmation once it has the serial number and machine type. Once we've confirmed that information, we'll get a notification that says we have successfully submitted. And one thing to note is that it could take up to 10 days to receive the email with the upgrade files. So just keeping that in mind when signing up for this. If you are going to need it soon, we recommend signing up as soon as possible. Once you receive your upgrade email, then you have two ways to actually update the firmware and upgrade the machine. The first is to use a USB drive. To do that, we can download the key file and the upgrade file from the email directly, or we have the option to do an online upgrade, which can be done directly from the touchscreen itself. Now that we have the upgrade files from our email, we'll need to go ahead and adjust the drivers underneath the Pro 2. To access the drivers, we recommend having another person help put the machine over on its left side, and then we can remove the lower panel covering the drivers. For 6-bit drivers, we'll need to go ahead and set these switches numbered 4 and 5 to the on position. And for 8-bit drivers, we'll go ahead and keep the set of front switches the same, but on the other set of switches, we'll want to go ahead and turn switch 7 off. Now that we've removed the panel from the underside of the machine, we need to identify whether or not we are working with 6-bit or 8-bit drivers. And for 8-bit drivers, we'll go ahead and keep the set of front switches the same, but on the other set of switches, we'll want to go ahead and turn switch 7 off. Now that our driver switches have been adjusted, we can go ahead and get the key file and upgrade file that we downloaded from the email earlier, put those onto the root folder of a USB drive. If you are using the same USB, don't forget to delete the old update files for the touchscreen and the MCB firmware. We just want to have the key file and the new update file on that USB. Then we can go ahead and plug that USB back into the touchscreen and restart the machine to start the hyper upgrade.
After the update, once the machine has finished booting, you can go straight into the Hyper FFF calibrations. You'll confirm what kind of material is loaded and the nozzle sizes. You do want to use 0.4mm nozzles for this upgrade.
For this calibration test print,
We're going to be looking at the peaks along the top of these edges, and then we're going to be counting the distance from the first peak to the fourth peak. So in this case, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks. And if we measure that with our calipers, we're looking at 10.5 millimeters in the y-axis. And then in our x-axis, the peak's going to be more on the backside. And those are looking closer to 10.85 for the x-axis. So we can input those values into the touchscreen.
Well, that's going to do it for us on upgrading the Pro 2 to Hyper FFF. If you have any questions, feel free to visit our website, give us a call, send us an email, or open a ticket. We'll be happy to help.